Boys, what's good? It's Herm. We're here with another breaking trade news video. Usually I have more edited videos, we go into details, but when trades drop, I want to be here first. So we're here quick. Russell Westbrook has been traded to the Utah Jazz with DAngelo Russell going back to the Lakers, the team that drafted him. Hype. This is very hype. There's also more stuff here that I didn't see originally, but we'll get into it. We'll talk about this entire trade, what it entails, what the rotations are going to look like after, and what this means for Russ and his career going forward, because he's probably getting bought out by the Jazz. But honestly, early on, first impressions, I kind of like this deal for the Lakers. I honestly kind of do. But we're going to break it down. We're going to talk about this whole trade. Before I do, think about subscribing. Let's just get into it. What does this trade entail? So, the Lakers are finalizing a deal to land Minnesota's DAngelo Russell, Malik Beasley, and Jared Vanderbilt in trade, including Mike Conley and picks to Timberwolves, and Russell Westbrook and a lightly protected 2027 Lakers pick to the Utah Jazz. Also in the deal, Juan Toscano-Anderson and Damian Jones going to Utah, Nickeil Alexander-Walker going to the Timberwolves. So we'll have to update some of this stuff later on in this video, but this is hype. So D-Lo back in LA, let's go. Great season for D-Lo so far, by the way. We'll get into that later. But what exactly does this deal entail? So there's a little more in here than we initially thought, right? So also Juan Toscano-Anderson and who was it? JTA is going to the Jazz, and so is one other player. Oh, shoot. I'm blanking on who that was. Thomas Bryant, right? No, not Thomas Bryant. Damian Jones, I think. Damian Jones is going back to the Jazz. All right. Yeah, okay. Nickeil Alexander-Walker to the Timberwolves. I got you. That should be all we need. So, Damian Jones to the Jazz, and then Nickeil Alexander-Walker to the Timberwolves. $5 million a year. Okay. Perfect. So the Timberwolves receiving Mike Conley and Nickeil Alexander-Walker, as well as some picks. I don't know what those picks are yet. I don't know if they're first or if it's second rounders. We'll see what that is. That'll come out later. The Jazz receiving Russell Westbrook, Damian Jones, JTA, and a first round pick. And the Lakers receiving D'Lo, Malik Beasley, and Jared Vanderbilt. DAngelo Russell, unironically, kind of the best point guard in LA since DAngelo Russell, so that's pretty hype. He's having a great year this year. I mean, we can look at Basketball Reference. He's been really good this year, so I'm hyped to look at that. But let's look at D'Lo. DAngelo Russell's 2023 season, especially since the new year, he's been really good. But for the season, 18 points per game, 6 assists, 46% from the field, and 39% from three. Just a more efficient player than Russ is this season. I mean, he's going to be an upgrade for the Lakers in the starting lineup. But let's look at how this could impact the team. So the Lakers, we're looking at rotations here. You're probably looking at a starting five of DAngelo Russell, Patrick Beverley, LeBron, Rui, and then Anthony Davis. You could start Jared Vanderbilt over Rui. I think that's kind of up in the air who will start there. And maybe Patrick Beverley comes out for a guy like Beasley or Schroeder. But to me, I think this is probably the starting five. And then you probably close games with Jared Vanderbilt as a defensive piece. Then off the bench, you have Dennis Schroeder, Austin Reeves, Malik Beasley, Jared Vanderbilt, and Thomas Bryant. The problem when Russell Westbrook was in LA is that they just never had depth. So they add a good replacement point guard in D'Lo, who's basically a similar type performance player, probably a step above, I'd say. And then you add a couple of pieces off the bench to really improve the Lakers' depth. I think they get much better here because they add three players that can be vital to their rotation. Malik Beasley spaces the floor. D'Lo spaces the floor. They needed spacing. They get it here. They also get defense with Jared Vanderbilt. Not a great shooter, but a phenomenal defender and a great rebounder. Just a guy you want in a playoff series. He's also young, too, so I actually really like that, especially if the Lakers only gave up a 2027 first rounder. I think it is a phenomenal get for them, and I'm pretty hyped about it. The T-Wolves, though. The T-Wolves have a starting five after this of Mike Conley, Ant, Jaden McDaniels, Towns, and Rudy Gobert. When Towns is back healthy, I think he's still out with an injury. Then off the bench, you have Jordan McLaughlin, Jalen Noel, Taurean Prince, Kyle Anderson, and Naz Reid. They also got Nickeil Alexander-Walker, who's no longer done here. But to me, I think probably McLaughlin and Noel probably play over Nickeil Alexander-Walker, but maybe the Timberwolves really like him. He's shown in stretches he can be a good scorer, so maybe he can be that for the Timberwolves. I just don't see that happening. Azubuike also is probably not quite as good as a guy like Damian Jones, who's probably going to be their backup five, at least for the rest of this season. Then you see something like Igbaji go to the starting one, and then THT probably moves here, and then you have someone like Juan Toscano-Anderson being your backup three here. So I do not think Russell Westbrook is going to be on the Utah Jazz. I think they're going to buy him out. Honestly, I think they're going to buy him out. And one team I've seen linked is the Miami Heat. I think the Heat are a really good fit for Russ just because of the mentality they play with. His fit with Jimmy is pretty cool. They have some shooters there, Tyler Hero, Max Strus. They have some guys that can really light it up. So maybe Russ there isn't a problem. The Clippers, I think, are also a really likely team for Russ if he gets bought out, just because he's like a better version of what they expected John Wall to be this year. Like, as much as people hate on Russ, he hasn't necessarily been a bad player this year. I actually think he's been pretty solid. In a new location, there's a good chance Russell Westbrook looks really good. So I'm interested to see just what's going to happen with that. But this is a really good trade for the Lakers. I love them getting D'Lo as their new starting point guard going forward. Just provides a little more consistent, efficient offense than Russ did for them. Probably not, quite as hype as a guy like Russ is, but I really like getting D'Lo. And then off the bench, having guys like Beasley and Vanderbilt, I think is huge. For the Minnesota Timberwolves, I actually really like swapping out D'Lo for Mike Conley. It gives you a much more veteran presence. The thing I think most people have been saying about the T-Wolves all year is they just need more veterans. They need more guys that are kind of calming presences. And I think Conley can be that. He's not going to take the ball away from Ant. He's going to be a great passer, be more than willing to set up Edwards. So I think we could even see Edwards scoring take a leap here. Then for the Jazz, they're going to probably have to start Sexton at the 1, which isn't necessarily ideal. It's not great for their rotation. Like, this is going to make the Jazz kind of significantly worse. I feel like there's a good chance the Jazz kind of slip down and try to get themselves a better draft pick is what this feels like. But if we look at the standings right now, just to get a look at what this can do for these three teams, I think this is huge for the Lakers. I think the Lakers legitimately, this makes them a lot better and can help them climb up the standings. Are they going to have home court advantage in the playoffs? That's not going to happen. Like, just realistically, it's not. But I think the Lakers could climb up to somewhere like 8 or 7 just because of having D'Lo and these other guys makes them a lot better. And then for Minnesota, we probably actually see them improve as well. I think there's a good chance of that. And then the Jazz are probably going to slip out of this play-in range despite how good Lauri Markkanen has been. He's been phenomenal. But solid trade for all sides, actually. I think the Jazz here, I see what they're doing. I don't love giving up these guys and getting what you're getting back, but the pick is really solid. And, maybe JTA and Damian can be pieces of your rotation. But really a good improvement for the Lakers. The Timberwolves get not necessarily an upgrade, but a veteran presence at point guard that they needed. And I think it helps pretty much all teams involved do what they want to do. So this is the first move before trade deadline day. We're coming in on the trade deadline tomorrow. I think I'll stream that from 2:30 to 3:30. So if you enjoy this, watch that. But thanks for watching. That's all my thoughts quickly. Have a good rest of your day. Peace.